גדול העצה ורב הלוויה של עיניך וכוחות על כל דרכי בני אדם, לתת לאיש כדרכה וכפרי מעלליו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולה תבוא, אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח, יהי שם אדוני מבורך, והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, והרבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו. קדיש.
יתקדע ויתקדש מרבה, ויעמד דברך חיותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וחייכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, ועגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. שני רבה מבורך ועולם ומי ומיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרמם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי בקדושה בריחו, לילה מן כל בחטא ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עשה שלום במרמה והוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים, אמצא מנוחה נכונה, לכנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהרים, במעלות קדושים וטהרים, כזוהר רקיע מאירים ומזהירים את נשמת יצחק אריה בן שרה ומנחם מנדל שהלך לעולמו בעבור שאנו מדי פללים לעילוי נשמתו בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו. לכן כל הרחמים יסתירו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרו בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, יחלק בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. דברי הספד בבקשה.
הרב חנני לטרוק, ממלא מקום ראש ישיבת שבי חברון. שלי יקרה, בנות, חתנים, נכדים, נינים, קהל קדוש. אנחנו, ליאו, יצחק, אריה, שרה מנחם מנדל, קראנו פרשת השבוע, שבת, שיש לנו אצולה בעם ישראל, אמור לכהנים בני אהרון. והרמב"ם המפורסם בסוף הלכות שמיטה ויובל מוסיף לומר שכהנים זה לא רק גנטי, זה לא רק מי שנולד במשפחה הנכונה, יש כאלה שיכולים להחליט להיות כהנים. ואתה ליאו בחרת להיות מהאצולה של עם ישראל. ואתה יצחק אריה בן שרה עולה עכשיו למרום, ובמרום פוגש אותך עם השרה, וגם שרה אימנו פוגשת אותך. את הבן שהיה כל כך מסור לה וכל כך אהוב עליה. קוראים לך אריה, ואריה זה הסמל של חברון, הסמל זה גם הסמל, אתה זה הסמל של חברון, וגם הסמל של חברון. בחרת, יש יכולת בנשמה להחליט להיות בן מלכים, כולנו בני מלכים, ותמיד שואלים אותך, ותיבדל לחיים ארוכים, שלי היקרה, אז רואים אצילות, רואים מלכות, כל ההתנהגות שלך, מה שבקע ממך, בלי מילים, הרומר שלך, זה אומר שיש אצולה, אצולה של רוח, אצולה של עבודת מידות, אצולה של שלווה, של עין טובה, של גדול המעשה, כמה טוב עשית לנו, כמה ברכה הבאת, אבל הגדלות שעישית האחרים זה פחות נעים, לתת זה מאוד נעים, לתת מקבלים, אבל להיות נודניק לאחרים, איך בכל גיל נשארת צעיר והתמסרת ואהבת וחשבת על חברון, איך הנחת את כולם לאהבת תורה, לאהבת ארץ ישראל, לאהבת עם ישראל, לאהבת מדינת ישראל. אנחנו אומרים בלוויות את המשנה שלמדנו אתמול בפרקי אבות. הרב בן מנדל אומר, ובן מסתכל לשלושה דברים, ואין אתה בא לידי העברה, נעים, לאן אתה הולך במקומות חיים, לפני מי אתה תיתן לי לחשבון. אפשר לראות את המשנה הזאת בצורה כזאת, מדכאת כזאת. שמי אנחנו בכלל, אבל אפשר לראות, וכשפוגשים אדם כמוך, ליאור, אפשר לראות את המשנה הזאת אחרת. משום שאתה עכשיו, בדקות האלה, כל הקהל חייב לדעת שליאור הולך להתייצב באופן אישי לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ולמה? כי אתה כל כך מעניין את מלך מלכי המלכים. כי מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא עסוק בך. כי אתה בחרת שהוא יהיה עסוק בך. כי כל החיים שלך אנחנו באים והולכים לעבר המוות עליה, אבל אנשים כמוך מלמדים אותנו לא להתבלבל, כי זה לא מה שאנחנו. אנחנו משהו שאלוקים דוחף הכל הצידה, ואומר, יש לי ליאו, אני צריך, חשוב לי, מהותי לו. אתה בחרת להיות בן מלך, אתה בחרת להיות אציל, אתה בחרת להעצים את הזהות שלך, כבן לאברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה ורחל ולאה. אתה בחרת בלי שבחרו בך, בלי שהלכת לאיזה פריימריז או ג'וב שנתנו לך ממשלתי. אתה בחרת בלב שלך, במידות שלך, בטהרה שלך, באישיות שלך, להיות אציל, להיות בן מלכים, להיות מנהיג. שר וגדול נפל היום בישראל. כל כך מתאים לך שהסתנקת בד' באייר, נכון? כי אתה לא נפלת על איזה ג'אבל, אבל אתה חייל, אתה לוחם בגאולה, לוחם בתחייה, לוחם בכנסת ישראל שהולכת בשב על אישה הראשון. ועכשיו לנצח, יום הזיכרון שלך, ביחד עם כל הקדושים, כל התיאורים, כל אלה שמאירים ומזהירים, וגם אתה ליאור, קדוש וטהור, מאיר, מזהיר, ואנחנו כולנו לומדים ממך, מוארים מרוחך, מתפללים שבעזרת השם תהיה מליץ טוב למשפחה, לשירי היקרה בוודאי, והקדוש ברוך הוא ישלח נחמות, רק הוא יודע לשלוח נחמות, תהיה נשמתך צורה בצורה.
Parents work hard at being visionaries. Often from the early days of pregnancy, regardless of whether it's a first child or the last, parents give a lot of thought into the name they want their child to carry. I have yet to know of anyone who takes this process lightly. The Torah goes out of its way to tell us the reason for every time Hashem himself makes a change in an original name. There are many well-known examples. The parents of Leo Schachter were no different. 95 years ago, when they named him Yitzchak Aryeh at his brit, it was no doubt their hope and expectation that he would live up to his name and fulfill their dreams for his life. When one actually lives the path imagined by the parents, We often say, Kishmo Kenu. And so was the life of Yitzchak Arya. While Avram Avinu was characterized by Chesed, Yaakov Avinu by Emet, Yitzchak was known for his qualities of Gvura and Din, strength and character with humility. Yitzchak was clearly the quiet, understated personality amongst the Avot. He was in fact so reserved that he avoided conflict at all costs. Even as Yitzchak came to know that he was being prepared for sacrifice to Hashem, he did not protest his fate. As he sat before a pretending Yaakov, disguised as Esau, he let himself go along with the ruse. Peace at all costs. And Yitzchak was the purest in his belief in Kedushat Eretz Yisrael, the only one of the Avot to restrict himself to live only in Israel. Remarkably, Dad, as we very affectionately call him, was the epitome of Yitzchak in his namesake. He was a very quiet, reserved man, known for his few words, not for unnecessary long dialogues, but equally for his decisive and thoughtful action. Witnesses at home would say even for his stubbornness, if the cause warranted. His family, their education, and the settlement of all of the land of Israel were paramount in his life. He would jump at the chance of telling you that he never worked a day in his life, enjoying what he did each day. And being with him, I can witness that feeling was contagious. He took Debbie and I to Israel on a business trip long before we moved here in the hope of furthering a partnership that he thought would bring the two of us here with hopefully more of the family to follow. That didn't work, but he gave his full support when an even better opportunity appeared. And although it was just Debbie and I and our three boys who were the first ones to move, there was clearly the feeling of a shared dream each and every day. I'm extremely proud to say that we became very close over the years and spoke often each day, no matter where we were for many years, until the days that he finally started to slow down. I can remember the first nights of the Scud attack, the first night of the Scud attack at the onset of the Gulf War. The sirens went off at 1 a.m. and we nervously started scurrying our 6 kids at the time into our Cheder Atum. And suddenly the phone rang. It was Dad. I didn't hear a word he said, but thinking that he couldn't possibly know from where he was in New York what was happening here that soon, I assumed that he just wanted to chat. I quickly told him that if this was social, now was not the time. And if it was business, he would just have to wait. I came to learn later that he was glued to CNN for our safety. And after hearing the sirens on TV, he wanted to warn us immediately of the events, just in case we hadn't yet heard. A few years before that, when he sat with Eric and I for the first time and started to talk about a tzedakah that was very important to him, he explained that his girls had all gone to Shalamas in Brooklyn, and they were in desperate need of a new building. They had turned to him for a rather large donation at the time, and while I believe that he was always very generous, taking on bigger community projects was not yet his thing. He told us his feeling. He said it was very important to him and to the community that this school succeed. He gave us the confidence that it was something we could afford or work to afford, and he asked that we give it our blessing. Being quiet and reserved didn't hold Yaakov Avinu back from his ability to lead, nor did it restrict Dad from growing all the things in his life that were important to him and teaching those that follow to do the same. And now Arya. In what seems like almost a contradiction to Yaakov, there was the very important Arya in his character. He was the embodiment of a fighter when times of crisis appeared. When Mendel, Aleha Shalom, flower of his life, sick and passed away, he rose up and gave everyone around him strength. Oh, I'm sure he was broken inside. When things at work went into their down cycles, as they did, and still do, from time to time, he never became complacent. He was the leader of the family and also the well-known leader of our industry. His picture hangs at the entrance of every one of our offices around the world because he embodies the quiet, honest character that all who work for him are expected to emulate. His very nature made that our brand. Our logo, a stylized lion, lets everyone understand that we will always rise to the occasion to fulfill the mission at hand. But the quiet leader that Yitzchak Arya came to personify came with his innate understanding that while an arrogant leader relies on his people's fear of him and a haughty man leans solely on his great abilities to command, a truly humble leader knows that he can count on the people's love, as a modest commander can rely on his associates' admiration. We worked together for almost 45 years, and there was never an argument between us, never a disagreement, and I dare say probably never a bad word. And clearly he gets all the credit for that. Allow me to take this opportunity to publicly ask you for your forgiveness for the things that I know about that I shouldn't have done or shouldn't have said, or anything that I may have done that offended you over all these years. I can assure you that all was intended only with much love and admiration. You will sorely be missed by all of us who came to love you. Yehi zichro baruch.
Yitzchak Arya, Ben Mנחem Mendel, Bible, Papa Leo, Uncle Leo, Lee, Leo, and Mr. Schachter were their names used by our father's family, friends, and business associates who loved, cared, and respected him. To us, his daughters, he was our daddy. Yitzchak Arya, Ben Mנחem Mendel left this world on Thursday, the 4th of Iyar, much as the way he lived his life, quietly, without much funfare, and with our mother by his side. Daddy took his last breaths in his home, surrounded by the loving memories of all that he and my mother built together. With Papa's love of Eretz Yisrael, it is befitting that he returned to Hashem as we celebrated Yom HaAtzmaut. Nothing pleased Papa more than sitting with Mama on his sukkah porch in Yerushalayim. Some of my greatest memories are from spending the Chagim there, together with Mama and Papa and the extended family. Papa was a unique individual with many qualities that defined him. Enigmatic in many ways. Papa had a big, warm smile, a sefer panim yafot, in which he greeted everyone he met, along with a firm handshake if you were a guy, a peck on the cheek if you were a girl, and a great, big, warm, embracing hug if you were fortunate enough to be one of Papa Leo's grandchildren or great-grandchildren. Papa was a great listener. He was a go-to person with limitless patience, and he never broke a confidence. Papa was a man of few words. Yup was enough to tell you that something was fabulous, and nope was enough to tell you there was nothing new. And though he seemed to choose his words carefully, his messages were always meaningful and clear. His word was his bond, and Mazel and Bracha truly expressed his heartfelt feelings upon completing a successful business transaction or hearing something good in the lives of his family members. Papa could express disappointment, but I never heard Papa raise his voice. Shmirat HaLashon was his guiding principle, and he never spoke negatively about others. There was one area where Papa never had trouble expressing himself, and that was in his song at the Shabbos table. He loved to sing Zmira, which in recent years seemed to have the uncanny ability to transform him back in time. You could always see the joy in his eyes as he belted out Kariban as recently as Pesach, when sitting at our Yontif table. He lit up when he heard the familiar Nikunim. Papa's love of the diamond industry was second to the love he had for Mama and his family. It was his passion. From humble beginnings, he rose to worldwide prominence, though he never saw himself that way. He earned tremendous respect due to his sterling character and his unwavering principles. He was honest, sincere, and hardworking, although if you asked him, he would have said he never worked a day in his life. That's how much joy he had and appreciation for what he achieved. He was modest and humble always. Daddy, we know that you are at peace together with our beloved Mindy. We pray that you will watch over all of us and be a Melit Yosher for the entire family. I ask on behalf of Eric and myself for Mechila, whoever disrespectful or didn't have your in the way we truly deserve. I promise we would take care of Mama and of each other. To keep Mishpachet Torah.
First of all, I would like to thank Milton and Derek, two very special human beings, for the care and the kindness they showed our father for the past few years. Their respectful devotion and never-ending concern for him allowed us all to feel that he was comfortable and well taken care of. We will be eternally grateful to you. Mi ha'ish hachafetz chayim, ohev yamim lirot tov, nitzor lashon chamera, utzvatecha medaber mirma, sur meira v'aseh tov, v'kesholem v'ratvehu. Who is the man who seeks life? Who is the man who yearns to see good in his lifetime? We can divide the answer into two parts, in your language and in your conduct. Avoid speaking bad of others, lashon hara and deceitful speech. One should stay away from speaking ill of others, bad deeds, and any type of misconduct and deception. And then on the positive side, one should follow the ways of the righteous, good deeds, seek out peace, and help to create a serene and calm atmosphere in your life. My father could be described as such a man who lived by these rules. He wasn't a man of many words. He chose his words carefully and only said things that he meant. He was true to himself and he spoke the truth. He always had good advice and gave much thought when he was asked an opinion. Honest, moral, fair, caring, no nonsense, modest, selfless, charitable, even-tempered principles. These are some of the qualities one could use to describe him. He loved having the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren around. They would always bring a twinkle to his eyes, even in his later years when he less related to his surroundings. If anyone would ask him how many grandchildren and great-grandchildren he had, his quick reply would always be, not enough. He never complained and was a very content person. The example he set for his family was one of a true observant Jewish member of Klal Yisrael. He lived his life and raised us with true Yiddish values. One of the highlights of his week over the last few years was when he would learn Gemara with the Yeshiva Avrei. He truly enjoyed it. As young girls, we all attended Zioni Yeshivot, and we had a great love of Eretz Yisrael. My parents spent much time in their apartment in Jerusalem and had many happy, memorable years there. My father was truly blessed with a wonderful, fulfilling, rich life. We were truly blessed to have him as the head of our family. He has left us with many wonderful memories and important lessons. You and Mommy had a wonderful marriage and a very blessed life together. There was always mutual respect towards each other, and you taught us what it really means to be an Ezer Kenegdo. Mom, you took such amazing care of Daddy over the last few years. He was always first in your mind, and his well-being was your top priority. We thank you for that as well. Your devotion and concern serve the family as an inspiring example. We hope we can emulate both of your ways and live up to the standard you set for us. Daddy, you were an extraordinary human being with many extraordinary qualities. We love you very much, and you will be sorely missed. Yehi Zichro Baruch. My father had a beautiful life. With kindness and humility, he, along with my mother, taught us by example how to live Torah lives, to be good parents, and kind and modest human beings. He unknowingly set the bar very high. He was soft-spoken, strong, a model of humility, and he was so very handsome. He had no need or interest in material things. He never spoke a word of Lashon Hara. The love and mutual respect he and my mother shared was so special. It's one of the reasons I love being around them so much. I thank Hashem for watching over him and allowing us to have him for so long, content and happy. He lived his life with dignity and passed away with dignity. How lucky we were to share his last birthday with him, with so many of his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren surrounding him. Leah shared some thoughts with me, and I just wanted to share one thing that stood out, which was that Papa always left you with a sweet, life message when he spoke to you. For her, it was after her basketball game. If you continue, you will be a winner. Daddy, I'm so grateful for the Shabbosim Martin and I were privileged to share with you and Mommy these last few years. I will always have you with me. I love you so much. I wanted to share some thoughts at this time. I know all of you have heard what a wonderful human being my father was. He led by example. He was a man of few words, but of many actions and accomplishments. I had this special bliss of being able to live near my parents and visit my father almost every day for the past few years. I loved seeing him so content while reading and sitting in the house with many of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. His famous Rummy Cup games, even just last week, were always hard to beat. I also had this bliss of spending this past Pesach with my parents. And I think though my father was forgetful the last few years, the things that were close to his neshama kind of stayed with him. I remember him singing loudly and clearly and beautifully from the Haggadah. My parents were such a devoted couple to each other and to our family. What true examples they are. They had a beautiful relationship for close to 72 years. Hashem truly has blessed them and blessed us. I'd like to thank the two malachim we had, Milton and Derek, who treated my father with respect and dignity, and grateful to Hashem for taking my father in the same gentle manner in which he lived his life. My father was nifter in New York on the week of Parshas Kadoshim. He was truly an Adam Kadosh, an example to all of us of how one should live his life. Daddy, I will miss you forever and love you very much.
Papa, Shem Tov Mishem and Tov was the mantra by which you lived your life. Nothing in life just happens. So it was appropriate that Hashem returned your neshama to the Olam Shel Emes between the Parshios of Kedoshim and Achri Moshe Kedoshim that were laying this past week in America. Because when the Jewish neshama returns to Hashem, it is truly Kadosh. Papa, you were the epitome of Kadosh, Kedoshim to you, being holy in our lives, by elevating all that you did, not just in the Ruchnius, but in the mundane as well. My entire life, I have always been so proud to be your grandson. You're Mr. Schachter's grandson, is what they said, and it'll always be followed by, what a mensch. From 47th Street to the streets of Yerushalayim and everywhere in between, your sterling reputation followed you. You defied the famous adage of, nice guys finish last. You, Papa, were a nice guy and finished first. Perhaps you realize that the phrase is incorrect, and it's not that they finished last, it's just that they're running a different race. And though your professional accomplishments were greatly known, others in the industry would undoubtedly first comment about you, Papa, the person, and not the diamond hair. While you and I share the common bracha of both having 5 daughters, I still have a lot to learn from your disposition. Your patience, the ability to be calm and choose your words precisely, having a emunah that it will all work out, are qualities that I will always admire and try to emulate. Every time I told you the good news about the birth of another baby girl, your response was, the only thing better than 5 girls would be 6. Your greatest nachas was your daughters and seeing their beautiful families flourish. Papa, how many grandchildren and great-grandchildren do you have? His answer was always not enough. Your love for Eretz Yisrael was second to none. You and Mama saw your dream of moving here come to fruition when you made a home in Yerushalayim. Whether it was hosting my friends while in yeshiva or spending sukkahs together with your grandchildren, I'll always remember you sitting on the round porch with a sefer in hand, greeting us as you sat and just enjoyed the Yerushalayim air. While you were more reserved and didn't just schmooze to fill the empty space, what you did choose to say was always focused and very much to the point. I recall a little over 20 years ago when I was learning in Yeshivat Hotel in the Old City, you came to visit and learn with me. We were having chavrusa and I was reading. We came across a particular line which I wasn't exactly sure how to explain. So I quickly skimmed over it and read on, figuring you wouldn't really notice. To my surprise, you tapped me and said, hey Jonathan, you skipped the part. You were focused and exact. Though your words may have been few, your actions spoke volumes. Papa would frequently be asked, how are you feeling? And without missing a beat, he would respond with a straight face and say, with my hands. My brother Michael reminded me of the Gemara in Baba Basra that says, Asher mi shebalakan v'talmudo biyado. Fortune is the one that comes to Olam Haba with his learning in his hands. Why does the pasuk refer to the Torah learning we hold in our hands as opposed to our head or our heart? Chazal tell us when the word yado is used, it represents our actions, our masim tovit, and our mitzvos. Papa, you let your deeds do the talking. You were kind, honest, yashar, humble, wise, and you carried yourself with the utmost dignity, and you stuck to your word. But through and through, you always had Mama by your side. She was your biggest fan and supporter and loved you dearly. Together, you were the perfect balance. The Gemara in Baba Metzia emphasizes the importance of honoring one's wife and explains the reward for doing so as being ashir, wealthy in the physical sense. However, the letters of ashir also correspond to inayim, shinayim, yadayim, and raglayim. Papa, you were a true ashir in the greatest sense, in the way you were machabed mama and carried yourself with people. Inayim, your perspective was always positive and you always gave the benefit of the doubt. Shinayim, never uttering a negative or judgmental word. Yadayim, being Shomrei Torah mitzvos and involved in stuff from New York to Yerushalayim. And Raglayim, consistently going to shul and learning with your chavrusa as recently as the last day before you left this world and returned to Hashem. On behalf of Alana and myself, my siblings, Ilana, Michael, Adam, and Eitan, and all of our families, I ask you, Papa, for true mechila. If we were not mechabed you in the proper way, we love you and we will miss you.
In true Papa fashion, we'll do our best to keep it short. Papa's essential qualities were always clear to us grandchildren. Kind, regal, modest, loving, a mensch, a patriarch, the epitome of class and grace. In so few words, Papa let us know just how much he loved us. Walking into his and Mama's house in Lawrence or their apartment in Yerushalayim, we were always greeted with a big squeeze, a warm smile, and a knowing twinkle in his bright blue eyes. The biggest smiles were when we visited with the little ones. He made them feel that connection and warmth despite the 90-odd-year age gap. Observing him taught me some of my most powerful lessons. If you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. The tremendous value and pleasure and pride of having family gathered together. Many of his special qualities were passed on to my mother. We literally never heard either of them speak a bad word about anyone. They shared a deep personal modesty as well as one for material things. My mom would buy one pair of good shoes to last through the season, and my dad's joke goes that Papa was a man of few words and even fewer shirts. They never sought kavod. External validation wasn't necessary. Papa lived a magnificent, rich, and happy life, shadowed only by her loss. Mama. Mommy should have been here grieving alongside you. There's comfort in knowing that she will be there to welcome Papa and Papa. He's the hopeful.
Papa's name was Yitzchak Arya ben Mנחem Mendel. Kishmo King Hu. Papa was regal and noble, majestic like a lion, always chivalrous and humble, and always with a kind smile. We read yesterday at the end of Parshat Emor about the avodah of the Kohanim. The avodah was constant and consistent. The lighting of the menorah, the Korban Tamid, and the Ktoret on a daily basis, and the weekly laying out of the Lechem HaPanim. Avodat Hashem is not about the show or the shtick, however uplifting and experiential. It is about the daily routine, the daily toil and mitzvot. Man climbs the ladder one step at a time, every step important, every ascent full of meaning. It is persistence that creates the ability to rise. It is persistence that enables man to withstand life's nisyonot and triumph. Looking back at Papa's life, it is clear that he led an exceptional life, incomparable in conduct and accomplishments. He achieved this with daily toil, persisting at work and at home, working both on his ruchniut and gashmiut. One step at a time, building his own company from scratch to be one of the best-known diamond companies in the world. Papa wasn't given to emotional high and lows. Nothing fazed him. Papa was one of those rare people that had constant yishuv hadat. Never nervous, never anxious. He possessed the dat, the knowledge of the challenges he faced, and the yishuv, the shalvat nefesh, to handle them with full bitachon in Hashem. But face them and handle them he did. What we learned from him, we learned every day and every moment. Papa took part in creating schools and yeshivot that promoted Ahavat Torah, Ahavat Am Yisrael, and Ahavat Eretz Yisrael. He sat on the boards of institutions that helped the sick and needy. The financial support was the least of his contributions. It was his energy, his unique insights, his exceptional business acumen, and more than all, it was his heart. Papa always acted with all his heart. He did this with his typical smile, disarming laugh, acting in ways that were hidden from the public eye, modest and humble, never ever self-promoting. Shammai omer, aseh toratcha keva, אמור מעט ועשה הרבה, והווה מקבל את האדם בסדר פנים יפות. את כל האדם בסדר פנים יפות. Shammai says, make your Torah a fixed practice. Speak little, but do much, and receive all men with a pleasant manner. Papa was a true Talmud of this teaching of the great Tana Shammai. Aseh toratcha keva. Chazal teach us, the meaning of keva is that it should be clear that the Torah is the ikar, not the tafel, the most important thing, the more significant than anything else. In his working years, Papa spent long hours and long days at work, although if you asked him, he would say he didn't work a day in his life. However, it was clear to his family and close friends that the important elements of his life were his children and grandchildren, his schools, yeshivot, and organizations. That was Papa's Torah, and it most certainly was the Ikar. Papa was a man of few words, but his actions, his conduct, and his demeanor spoke louder than any voice. He never talked about doing, he just did. He never spoke about the things he accomplished, he simply started the next project. As you might have heard, no one has ever heard Papa raise his voice his entire life, aside from one incident with 5 young girls in the back of a car during a very long drive. The exception that proves the rule. He approached everyone as an equal, always eager to learn something new. He made anyone that spoke to him feel like they were the only person in the world. All of his children, his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, indeed all of his friends felt that they had a special relationship with him. He left a unique impression on all those that met him. Nothing better describes Papa than Perek Tedvav in Tehillim. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai mi yagur be'ohalecha, mi yishkon behar kodshecha. Holech tamim upoel tzedek, v'dover emet b'lvavo. Lo ragal al leshono, lo asa lera'eu ra'a, v'chirpa lo nasa al kirbo. נבזה בעיניו נמאס, ואת יראי אדוני יכבד, נשבע להרע ולא ימיר. כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד על נקי לא לקח. עושה אלה לא ימות לעולם. Hashem, who may reside in your tent, who may dwell in your holy mountain? He who lives without blame, who does what is right, and in his heart acknowledges the truth. Whose tongue is not given to evil, who has never done harm to his fellow man, or borne reproach for the actions of his neighbor. For whom an offensive man is distasteful, but who honors those who fear Hashem, who stands by his oath even to his hurt. He who has never lent money and interest or accepted a bribe against the innocent. The man who acts this way shall never falter. Papa, we will miss the small things. The up and down tune that you hummed while davening, the beautiful zmirot at the Shabbat meals, the corny jokes, and the beautiful, shiny, observant blue eyes. תהיה נשמתך צרורה בצרור החיים.
I'm so grateful to Hashem that I have the schut to know my great-grandfather. I was privileged to learn what an Eved Hashem, what love for Eretz Yisrael, Am Yisrael, and especially his family looks like in a person. Often you learn from someone through words or speeches. Papa taught us through his actions. His words were few, so we all always made the extra effort to hear what he was going to say. He taught us of his love for Torah. We could have learned through stories or helping to run yeshivot, helping start schools for my schachter and my sisters. We saw it was necessary. But I learned Papa's love for Torah because I saw he made learning a priority in his life. I know how lucky my father felt to sit and learn with Papa regularly when he spent time in Ramadan. Whenever I heard people ask him how many grandchildren or great-grandchildren he had, the answer was always the same. With a smile, he would say, not enough. He was warm and loving. When we came to visit, we would all stand in line to get a swing and would happily play along when he asked us to sneak him chocolates when Mama wasn't looking. I don't remember him ever being angry, not at anyone. While none of us ever heard him raise his voice, somehow his messages were always clear. He loved his work, he loved Israel, and he loved his family. We're all so proud and honored to be his great-grandchildren. Papa led and left a clear path for all to follow. We have big shoes to fill, but footprints to show the way. We hope you continue to have nachas. We love you very much.
בבקשה, 4 אנשים להרים את ההגנה, בבקשה את האלונקה, בבקשה. שיר המעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי עם אדוני עושה שמיים וארץ. אל ייתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומריך. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל. אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך על יד ימינך. יאמר השמש לא יכך וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור את ביתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. בבקשה להתחלם בבקשה, נושא נמצא בבקשה. אנא בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר את צרורה. קבל רינת עמך שדנו טהרנו נורא. נא גיבור את דורשי ייחודך כבבת שמרם. ברכם את הערם מחמם צדקתך תמיד גמלם. חסיני קדוש ורובד טובך נחל עדתך. יחילקה לעמך פנה זוכרי קדושתך. אבואתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו יודע אתה. אנא בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר את צרורה. קבל רינת עמך סגבנו טהרנו נורא. נא גיבור דורשי ייחודך כבבת שמרם. ברכם את הערם לחמם צדקתך תמיד קדושתך. שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו יודע תעלומות. שיל המעלות אשאנה והרים עין יבוא עזרי. עזרים עם אדוני עושה שמיים וארץ זריתן עמוד רגליך על ינום שומריך. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל אדוני שומרך אדוני צילך על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יכך וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. יצחק אריה בן שרה ומנחם מנדל. שמיים וארץ. אל ייתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומריך. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל. אדוני שומריך, אדוני צילך על יד ימינך. יאמר השמש לא יכך וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור את ביתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. אתה להתחלם בבקשה, נושא נמצא בקשה. אנא בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר את צרורה. קבל רינת עמך שדנו טהרנו נורא. נא גיבור את דורשי ייחודך כבבת שמרם. ברכם את הערם לחמם צדקתך תמיד גמלם. חסיני קדוש ברובד טובך נחל עדתך. יחילקה לעמך פנה זוכרי קדושתך. אבואתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו. יודע אתה בכוח גדולת ימינך תתיר את צרורה. קבל רינת עמך סגבנו טהרנו נורא. נא גיבור דורשי ייחודך כבבת שמרם. ברכם את הערם לחמם צדקתך תמיד קדושתך. שבתנו קבל ושמע צעקתנו. יודע חלומות של המעלות תשאנה והרים עין יבוא עזרי. עזרים עם אדוני עושה שמיים וארץ זריתן למות רגליך אל ינום שומריך. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל אדוני שומרך אדוני צילך על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יכך וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. יצחק אריה בן שרה ומנחם מנדל.